Hello, this is Redden. You know me. This is no joke. This is me making a very needed statement, and I need to do it not just for myself, but for everybody. Because make no mistake about it, we're in a fight against our own government and processes from out of this world that are very close, or have been getting closer and closer to just completely killing us all off and mowing down our complete earth, and then leaving the few that actually are formally the heads of that thought process to fly off and probably go do it again. I've often said I'll be the last motherfucker down here because I ain't leaving this earth, and I had some ideas tonight, and it's not a joke at this point when you've got, what I've seen over the past 2 years, and I know it to this day. I walked across your city, and, when I say mass graves, a lot of people take that as light, but it is. There's grave sites all over this, and ongoing. It's a process that has stopped, and, I'm outside in the middle of the night, but I've been out all night, but I'm the only one out here. There used to be a day when people weren't terrified to come out at night, and, weren't just terrified to stay in all the time and be just terrified in general, and also a day when my lawn wasn't just sinking literally like it is under me, but no doubt they've started likely a process to create a sinkhole. They've, like I said out here earlier, and I'm not joking, if that's the case, and I see a little bit of a tilt in my house, but, if that's the case, I'll climb out the top, and, I'll, make them look very stupid. It's not like I'm going to let that get me down, but, this is my grandma's house, and it ain't going down without a fight. But to my point, since this country is headed, first of all, I'm not afraid to say Barack Obama, who I have nothing but an ability of just, initially I was okay with him, but I've learned a lot of things, and anybody who heads this government in a state, police state, and just formal setup, corruption, jailing, terrorizing of the people to, and just forcing people to do whatever they want them to, monitoring their cell phones, their devices in public in general, surveillance, businesses getting involved, and just across the board, it's a bad situation we're in, make no mistake about it, but I'm not afraid to do what I do, you do what you do, but we all need to, I said earlier, I got sick of hearing, I need to say to myself, well, that's to a degree a large part, but we all need to help save each other, and it's not going to be done in the courtrooms or by taking commands from government processes. It's going to be done in the streets, and I say that metaphorically, but it's real. It's going to be done between the people. We the people are the ones that are going to have to do it, But I had a process that tonight, mental process that I find very relevant. They have, thousands of flags that stand for what this government stands for, and right now we're in a police state, genocidal and very bully to the rest of the world government. And make no mistake about it, I am not a terrorist. I actually am very protective of this country and its people, and everywhere I go, and it's why I do this, not only for myself, but so, it changes, and it has to, and for the good of the earth, because we're on a rate of speed to, or we're on a track to not have an earth here, but that'll change. I know that. They call me a psychic often. I have a lot of abilities to read a lot of things that other people can't see, but I know that the future is bright, and we'll get there, and sooner than later. Things like this, education, it's not snitching, quite the opposite. I don't go to courtrooms or the papers or the press, or my own press actually, and I don't gossip, and I don't do security is very important to me. But let me as often as the case, I get sidetracked. But I made a flag, and it's not about just a shirt that I took apart to make a flag out of, and the work that I went through to put it in my yard. But for everybody that's been, pushed around, bullied, and all the people that have died needlessly by this government police state and put in the ground, all our families, for all the people in prison and jails who shouldn't be, for everybody that's sick of it and not going to take it. There's there's a reason I can walk out around all night and not be scared, because for the past 2 years I've had to learn a lot of tactics to just be okay with the fact that it's nothing but influence. And as long as it's good to know the law very well, but it's also good to be educated about processes that have the ability to kill and set you up and distract you from anything other than getting exactly the best you can out of life. So I had it's a formal thing. I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm actually very proud of it. It's a t-shirt I bought. I thought it was pretty badass, as I call it. I mean that I like it, but no doubt tomorrow, or even tonight, somebody will be told as the federal processes are just unbelievably, a norm in my life. I've known that for 2 years, but let's show the government that our flag, for the people, out of respect for everybody that dies, let's all do what we can to make sure this flag, which is a lot less menacing than the flag that stands for Barack and all the chain down of government just in mass quantities. There's very few left that are not somehow involved in a government or an influence process, businesses. And so let's all make sure this stays here, not just for me. Let's do things the right way. Let's do what we know is right, not what we're told we should do, because that's the only way I do. But it was kind of my philosophy on the streets when I was homeless, and I need to say this for the homeless people too. It's not always the case that what is often taught, that good or bad things happen, or bad things happen, good things. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is bad things oftentimes happen to very good people, and it happens too often. So for the people in the streets and struggling, where was I going with that? I don't know. But anyway, this is the flag that we stand for. And make no mistake about it, at some point, my brother might even come over tomorrow and tear it down, because he likes to tear down anything that I stand for. And I wish I wouldn't have put it in the video, but I'm not going to make rebound it. God knows, he's made a lot more formal thoughts about me. But here's the point. Let's do what we can. It's symbolization like this, not being afraid to say that, you know what, our government is killing us. It's killing us. And you know what, the fact that saying, I'm so sick of having to qualify that religion is nothing but, misleading and, confusing and brainwashing, as is in my case. But now we have all gotten to the point where space and, extraterrestrials and just the advancement of all things needs to be just, not a thing we can't talk about, but just education, knowledge. And the fact that, I often say it, and I mean it, the book that matters is not the book that has been, toiled over, centuries and been the base for bloodshed and witch hunts and, confusion, but it's the metaphorical book that we write each day going forward, the present and the future. Because I know I have the ability to do anything I set my mind to, and I'll get to where I'm going. And I know this earth is going to go on, and it's things like this, and teaching others. And I would like a lot of help a lot of times, but not like where people. It's often a bad thing ever when you try and force somebody to do something they don't want to do, but it's often helpful without ambiguity and vagueness, to give me direction if I need help finding from point A to point B, because I'm not the only one, but I've got a lot on my mind, and but that's often the case. this is for the youth, and the adults and the old school and everybody, and even the ETs who are here who are relevant, because while their overall process influence is not good, there's good in everything. I take everybody as they come to me, any being, and oftentimes the animals I often relate, and I can communicate with dogs better than humans or ETs, and it's true, and I don't have to say a word. But anyway, let's instead of digging out here and what could have been, thankfully, I want to thank everybody who didn't call it in and use it for what it's more of a symbol that, I wasn't doing anything out here that the government does on an ongoing basis. And again, this is much more a flag for the people to respect. This is the Grim Reaper, and this is where it stops. This is the death to that process. Let me quickly relate. The Syrian people, the Syrian rebels, I did enough studying into it, and they were a very peaceful people. They went through a lot of what we've gone through, and I have an ability to sense they probably rose up against it. I don't think it needs to come to the point where we need more bloodshed and murder and regulation and law. There's a lot of effective tactics to have it done, but also there is a point that I often live by. I will defend my life and the people around me's life who are, if I sense that they're being bullied or their life is in danger, I will not hesitate to do what I know is right, even at risk to myself, or actually at no risk to my what other people think of me. Because like the song says, when the bar closes and you feel like laying down, hey, no shit, I just cussed at my formal process ceremony. I can do that, thankfully. I mean this. When the bar closes and you feel like laying down, I'll carry you home tonight. And we all need to carry each other. And, hey. It's real. It's damn real. And, we gotta start. And let me relate the ones, because just the mass majority, there's a small minority that are left that have not been taken influence or formal processes to avoid, getting intimidation. I'm one of the few. For 2 years I've been set up and I've been jailed and I've been terrorized, and I knew at one point, about 8-10 months ago, and it's been long overdue, that my life was in jeopardy, not by any people on the streets or in public, just citizens, but by very formal governing processes. And those are things I learned to, and I will continue to spread tactics to help people save their lives, and we all need to save each other and ourselves. It's like a dog. I often walk by a dog in a fenced area, and the dog barks, and the owner shouldn't, necessarily. I can't tell an owner tell his dog not to shut up, but it doesn't offend me, because the dog is much like me, very protective of anywhere he goes and the people that he cares for. And dogs go off of instinct, and they're protective, and that's any breed of dog, pit bulls and such. And I'm much the same way, while often feared and unjustly made out to be like a pit bull breed, like a big evil looking thing that scare propaganda that is not anything but very, very abundant coming from government and teaching processes. But anyway, I'll go into further detail about my thoughts. It's not all about me, it's about all of us. And thankfully, I find it quite profound that I was digging out here on the lawn, and I put up it's actually cool, it's an art, and I didn't have people, and I'm saying this out of respect, I didn't have people interfering, because, I was just doing something symbolic in the middle of the night, and it was non-threatening. And I say this because it happens, and it needs to stop. That far too often there's a lot of, digging and burying bodies, not by the people, but by the processes that were supposed to be put in place to protect us and help us, but the government processes, and thankfully, and they do that with just a mass minority. We need to, how we win, and I've often said this before, is not in the courts and not by using the judicial system as a base to, because as is very real the case, involving those processes, unless needed be, makes it worse. I know it's not supposed to be that way, but it is. But where we win, and I've often said it before, I use metaphors and I use irony, but we win by anonymity, not by formal, titles and processes and judges and courts, and we win by helping each other in the streets and by not telling anything we know about another person, like that we know is good. But let's face it, there's about probably a million laws on the books. I can think of, just off the top of my head, there's probably two handfuls of basic human laws that need to be stuck by no matter what. But it's my belief that, street court, and I say this, and it's not a joke, I am an honorable, but I'm not a formal judge, but street court is now in session, and go in peace to do what you know is right, and have a good fucking time in the process. Are you kidding me? Let's all fucking have a good time and still protect each other. It can be done. Balance, the yin yang, that's very relevant. Balance is very important in life, and I often learn that too, that I need to balance things, and I need to go a little bit less full force and be a little bit more thoughtful of what I do. But I'm learning too. We all learn, So I was wanting to play a song with this, but let's see what we can do. Let's get 8 seconds on the camera silence for our flag. Let's keep it going. Here, what can we do for, they do shotgun salutes. What can we do in the middle of the night that wouldn't be so disrespectful to neighbors? But let's get you know what? I got this. This is out of respect to Cat. We'll give them 10 middle fingers to that process, because you know what? They deserve it after all the people that have been put in the ground. And real quick, the only way for the dead and the living to go on is to move on and make sure it doesn't happen again and again and again. And if you were involved in that, you got to use whatever position you have to help us get back to where we need to be. You need to be protecting, because there is a very high need for the processes or the technology and the intelligence that has been used to kill and murder and set up. Those tactics can be used now to help us, and it's good to look the other way when you see good people doing things that might be against the law, because there's way too many laws, and we all know what's right and wrong. It's within us. A law or religion never needs to be a base to tell a person, or at least I know for me, even if I don't go to bed at night, I know at the end of the day or any time of day I'm a good person, and I can sense a lot of other people don't have that same feeling. I don't often. Anyway, I speak for myself. I speak about myself a lot, so I can educate others about, it often doesn't come across that way, but I think it's important for people to hear. It sounds like a lot of paranoia, and tell people who haven't learned this yet, and it's going to take a lot of people that are, and thankfully I'm gaining more of a stance where not only will I be able to fulfill my life streams, but also help influence saving, as other people have. Jesse Ventura, and like this guy that came out today, they call him a whistleblower. Well, come on, are you kidding me? Calling him a snitch? He did something very profound when he came out and gave these protected government documents. I think that's a man that, you know, he doesn't need to fear for his life. He's much like what I've been doing. And thankfully I'm getting more of a platform to do it on a larger basis. But hey, we're all good. So let's get 10 middle fingers in silence out of respect for the dead, and not to our flag, but to the current state of the flag that they stand by. This flag might come and go, but it's let's use this as a line in the sand. And I'm not suggesting we go, do anything like a Bush or our government's done, just go blow up the government, because innocent people die that way. There's a lot of tactics that can be utilized, but also standing your ground in defense of yourself and your territory and your people. I will defend my life and the people around me's life with my own life. And I often speak for myself because I don't like to speak for other people. I like to teach not by trying to make anybody. I hate making, and I never do. I never feel comfortable making people or influencing people to do things they're not comfortable with. So I often teach best by doing and, talking about myself. Which, anyway, 10 middle fingers before this goes over long. There's been a rumor. I guess it's kind of true. I tend to go a little long in my promos sometimes. Anyway. I do care. I love this earth, and I love anybody extraterrestrial visitor here. As long as you're here to put into this earth and the people and not be anything to formally mow it down and commit murder, you're good. Take everybody as they come. That's how I do it. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for allowing me to be myself, as only I would do for you. Lights out now. We all can sense I'm not going to bed, but now I'm going to go inside and clean, because it needs it.